What is going on, everybody? Week 1, college football. Got a special guest in here tonight. Got a little more back and forth. You won't just have to hear and look at me the whole time. You'll get to listen to Dobe a little bit. We're going to go through each game by game, position by position within those, and kind of break down this big slate. How are you feeling about Week 1?
What's up, Dane? Thanks for having me. Feeling pretty good as always. Pretty big slate here. Week 1, always a fun one to go through. The first couple weeks there, but sponsored by Coors Light, and we'll get through it.
Yeah, you bring the fun to the show tonight, and I'm just here along for the ride. So. Here we go.
I'll chime in.
If anybody has any questions,
the professional.
If anybody has any questions while we're going through it, we'll have a little more. I'll have a couple more eyes to look at things and be able to get to those as we go game by game, and then at the end we'll circle back as well. But starting off, we've got Boston College. NIU, Boston College is an 8.5-point favorite, fairly low total, 50.5. One of the lower ones on the slate. There's not really any, 70-point totals like we see sometimes later in the year. And we got a lot of massive spreads, of course, this week with teams playing FCS schools and lower end FBS teams. So Boston College, NIU, you got anything in this one?
Not a fan of this game. 29.5, 21. You could probably do a little one-off on the Boston College side, but just nothing for me here. No.
Yeah, definitely not one of my favorite games. I never get excited about Boston College anyway, and especially not NIU going up against. Even though Boston College is not that good, going up against a better school than they're probably used to seeing. But
looking at
a couple plays that we can get to here.
Looking at the team rush, I know you're trying to pull it up there. 60% rush rate. They're ranked 31st last year. Opponent was 88th in defensive running there. You might get a little cheap running back with NIU. I think they're the Huskies. That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, Ontario Brown is a guy that we did play a little bit last year. I think he was splitting a little more time. I guess, you definitely could look there. He projects fairly well for at 5,100 for that price. Not something I'm probably going to get to, and if I'm building like one team, even 3 teams, maybe not even 20 teams, but but if you're you could mix them into a 20 max.
Yep, that's right.
The Boston College side, really, there's one main play, and I think he's very cash game /
wow, yeah.
Single entry viable, and it's O'Keefe, transferred over from UCF. Looks to be the main guy for them. 6,100. There's a lot of people that are just too cheap because I don't think DraftKings knew what to do with some of these prices this week yet, since we haven't seen these teams in action, or most of them. So O'Keefe projects really well at 6,100. I think he's single entry viable. You could play Emmett Moorhead. He actually is priced up a little higher than I would want to get to. But you could mix him in if you were doing like a 20 max as well, pair him with O'Keefe. Definitely one that if I was playing Moorhead, I would be stacking him with O'Keefe at least. And then a run back on the other side, if you want to go to the passing game for 4,600, could be Trayvon Rudolph. Another guy that we've played in the past, going back to previous years for college football. I think he was hurt all of last year, but he should come back into a solid role for them on the other side. But again, we probably don't want to get too carried away with the 50.
I'll tell you I tell you what the barber says. Next.
Yeah, so we got Kenny. He's in New York, so not able to play most of the time. Boo to New York on that, but looks like he's away this weekend, going to get some action. So moving on to the next one, we got one of them. This is one of my favorite sides of the weeks: Tennessee and Virginia.
Big
Tennessee,
Star.
a team that I was on, or everybody was
Heavy.
pretty much on last year, all year with Hendon Hooker and the cast that he had around him. Now we got Joe Milton for Tennessee, 28-point favorite, 4 touchdowns against the lovely Virginia Cavaliers, 56 total. They should do whatever they want here. I don't see any way that Virginia is pushing them, though. That would be my only concern. But as far as Tennessee's offense, you could blink and they have 35. So that's where I'm looking at. Not even going to look on the Virginia side, to be honest. You know, a lot of times I like playing teams going up against Tennessee. I just can't do it here. This team's not something that I'm ever enthused about playing, and I don't think that's going to be any different in 2023.
No, you'd be sick in the head to go against them right here.
Yeah. So Milton projects as one of the best quarterback plays on the slate under 9K. Jabari Small, very solid. He's going to split with Jalen Wright. They're very close in price, so you know Small's got to get the first look, I would say, from us here. But Wright could be mixed in a 20 max. The wide receivers. This is what I'm talking about with DraftKings not doing what they're doing with pricing. You got 4 guys that are very, very in play. Squirrel White would be the number 1 for me, 55. I think a lot of people are going to lean to Brew McCoy at 48 for the 700. I slightly prefer going up to Squirrel. Keaton at 41 is going to be also popular, but I think Dante Thornton, somebody who a lot of people probably don't know, coming in here to Tennessee, at least they've seen the other names. So I think Thornton is a nice GPP play. What do you think about these receivers?
I'm kind of on, Bruh first there, and then Squirrel. But those, I mean, you can mix and match any of those 4, and you have the possibility of having the highest guy on the slate. I mean, it's just a matter of fact. How long do they play is the thing. Last night we saw UCF. I thought they would be done by the second half, and they actually played until third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm seeing Squirrel White being a third of the ownership of Brew McCoy right now. And it's just I think all of it's because of that $700 price difference,
which is crazy.
And Thornton, looking at 5 to 10% ownership for Thornton, and Brew
we'll take that all
in the 40s. So yeah, all these guys are in play.
Plug and play.
Yeah. So this is I do think that this is a little different than the Tennessee with Hooker, where yes, Milton might run a little bit, but if I'm playing Milton, I'm stacking this up 100%. And at these prices, I think you can definitely play 2 with him. I don't think I would play 3, but
it's not like the Cavaliers' pass defense is, locked down. So
no, yeah, definitely not. I think they should do what they want here. 4 touchdown favorites. I think they're going to put up, or they're projected to put up 42. I mean, I think they could go over that number for sure here. So you're going to want exposure to Tennessee. It's just a matter of how much and how do you put it together. Small and Wright, I don't think they get enough passing game work for me. I think I might group that out and only play Small or Wright in lineups where I'm not stacking that passing game.
All right, the next big one, primetime there, Neon Dion.
Colorado, 20.5-point dog in Dion's debut here, going up against TCU, who made, of course, a massive run last year. Lost a few pieces, but they actually now have the quarterback who started the year as the starter last year, funny enough. And I think he's going to be a very solid option for a lot of people under 7K. Projects very well, point per dollar. Big favorite here. I think they put up some points, projected for almost as many as Tennessee at 41.8 implied. So Chandler Morris is who I'm referring to there. I think he's very in play here going up against Colorado. Do you have interest on that TCU side?
I mean, he kind of gotta have some interest on TCU. As a rebuilding team, I mean, Dion's good. He recruited a lot of people, but I don't see him being good this first year, to be honest.
Especially early on, they got a lot of turnover. It's gonna take a while to put that together.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's gonna fall on his face with what he's doing there. I get the name attracts a lot of people and a lot of things, but I definitely have interest in that. Chandler Morris at home, TCU. Just don't think they'll have it together that first game.
Yeah. Chandler Morris can get it done with his legs too. So he got a little extra upside there. So he's one that I think at his price tag, I don't think you have to stack. And they're going to split this around a lot of different ways. With these receivers, you've got JoJo Earl. He came over from Bama, I think. JP Richardson came over from Oklahoma State. So they've got, some new faces and a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not really picking out many TCU receivers, but Warren Thompson would be a guy that I'm looking maybe to take a shot on if I do play one at 3,200. Just taking the cheap price tag and going from there.
Yeah, JoJo Earl, wasn't he hurt at Bama there and was a part of that team?
Yeah. Yeah, so TCU in the backfield as well. You've got Amani Bailey, Trey Sanders. I think they're going to split. They're going to run a lot of running backs. That's the thing with TCU's backfield is they just split it up so much, just like the receivers. So it's just all about who can break a long one, and if it's Bailey, then so be it. I don't think I'm going to go to either backfield there.
Yeah,
nothing on Colorado for you,
man. I'm not a fan of them right now. Until
I don't think I'm getting there either.
Until they show
they've got the two transfers from South Florida, Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver, come over. I think they should be their top two, but I don't think I'm getting there.
No, money talks.
All right, next one you got Arkansas State, Oklahoma, 36-point favorite, biggest spread we've got to so far, 58 total, 47-11 is that implied score there. So what about I'm not going to get to Arkansas State with an 11 total no matter what. What do you think about Oklahoma?
I mean, like I said on the last one, and Tennessee, rinse and repeat. You got to have some piece of it, and what's the right piece in week one is the biggest question mark here. So, you bring these things up, and Dylan Gabriel, I mean, 9,100, yeah, he can get you there. Whether who to pair him up with is the other big question there. So,
I think he's just priced a little too high for me here.
Yep.
9,100's tough, and they're gonna get pulled at some point with this spread. He could get there. He could throw 5 and rush for 1 before he gets pulled. I don't think there's any receivers. Again, kind of like the TCU situation, they're going to split around so much.
Yeah.
Now the backfield, though, I do have some interest in. They're of course going to split. Javonte Barnes, Marcus Major, and Tawi Walker are all going to split, but Walker's 3,700. I think he could get a little steam going to tomorrow because there's not a lot of cheap running backs, and maybe it's a guy that they want to get a look at, and he plays a little more than some of these other guys in a blowout run scenario. So. Walker would be my favorite play out of this entire game.
Big value play there. Yep, I like it.
Yeah, helps you a lot. Helps you fit in some of these other high price guys because if you look at position by position at quarterback, outside of Morris, there's not really any cheap quarterbacks that I'm running to play. So we need some value somewhere to get there.
That's right. That's right. Any one of those.
This is probably going to be a pretty quick one for me. Ball State and Kentucky, 26.5-point favorite for Kentucky, 49 total. I'm crossing off Ball State. Kentucky's pretty good defensively, and Kentucky specifically themselves are also a tough team to get right. Not a team that I'm ever probably jumping to play this year. They have very run-heavy approach, which is fine. They bring in Devin Leary from NC State, so I think they will be slightly improved passing the ball. Maybe
it's not like he was good. It's not like he was top notch there. I mean, NC State, Devin Leary, come on.
Yeah, I agree. So they've got a little bit of work to do, I'm sure, on offense, like they do every year, it seems. They got a couple playmakers that they could get the ball in the hands of. Ray Davis comes over from Vanderbilt. He was really, to me, he was just a volume guy there that got there only because of how many touches he got. But they still got the 3 receivers that are going to be their main guys: Berrien Brown, Dane Key, and Tavian Robinson. I think if you wanted to take a shot on one of those guys or the Ray Davis, go for it. Ray Davis would be my favorite, but he's just too high priced. So I don't think I'm getting to anything at all from this game ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making it a priority or stacking it at all, but certainly a piece here and there, that's fine. Move on.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be the same for me in the next one with Iowa and Utah State. Iowa good defensively, 43.5 total. That's the lowest on the slate, as pretty much every Iowa game is. Utah State going up against that defense, no thanks. And Iowa specifically is there's really one option. I'll let you go first, but there's really one option for Iowa that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think you got him pinpointed there. And what was it, Leary that you had highlighted? I'm trying to get mine.
No, it's so Luke Lachey, the tight end, steps into that role.
Any tight end.
Yeah. So I think Lachey, he came on towards the end of the year. He was a guy that made a lot of sense. He's maybe a better cash game play at 3,800. Just to give you some more salary relief there. He's going to get some targets. But Cade McNamara, he was at Michigan, I believe. They just can't seem to get good. They can't seem to get a good offense put together. The backfield's just going to be too split for me here with Caleb Johnson, LeSean Williams, and Patterson there. It's really Lachey in this entire game or pass. So that's it for me. There are some better games towards the end of the slate and that we'll get to, but some of these are just stayaways.
Yeah, this next one is
Michigan, your favorite team, and East Carolina. You got anything with this one since you love Michigan?
Yeah, love that team up north. If G Will is watching, I hope you guys lose the first game. I mean, you gotta, as a sports guy and DFS guy, you gotta put that aside. So, yeah, McCarthy, Corum, that's probably one of the best running backfields of the slate this year. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one of those.
And they're both below 7K.
Stupid. Just absolutely stupid by DK. Plug and play one of them and hope you got the right one. That's where I stand on that.
Yeah, this at those prices, sometimes I would say let's play both even in a lineup, but I don't think you can do it here with the talk of maybe Corum being eased back into things after the injury, and they're going to more than likely going to blow ECU out. So I just don't think there's enough volume for both to get there. So I would max one of those too if you're using an optimizer, or of course hand building too. I actually prefer Edwards for 700 less. Just kind of with that talk of Corum being eased back, but in 20 I would have exposure to both 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't leave one of those guys out of a 20 max at those prices. You got to get there somehow because they're going to get the volume. Getting the right is the main thing there. Maybe we should ask G what he thinks with his terrible team up north there.
Yeah, if you're in the chat, definitely let us know if you've heard anything about this Corum situation. If he's, Edwards, I think earned quite a bit more workload towards the end of the year last year. But if I'm missing something, definitely in chat, let me know with the way I'm reading this situation, at least early in the year. That's all I've got. This passing game, I hardly ever get it right. I hardly ever try to get it right. Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson.
Cornelius is the guy that.
Yeah, you had him late in the year when he smashed, right?
Yep. He's definitely got all the intangibles to be on the next level there. He came on really strong. Definitely play that guy on any showdown, and he has the ability to go off. Yep.
Yeah, so moving on, we've got Ole Miss and Mercer. No line. I mentioned this before we went live. Early this year, it seems like these games, including FCS schools, are just not getting lines until very late.
They don't know what to do with them. I mean, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't either. So pretty much a stay away for me on the Mercer side. I do think if you were building a lot of teams, it would be hard to get to it even in 20. But I think it does get you different enough and on a different construction that I think you could play Carter Peavy for Mercer at 4,500 mid price for a quarterback. Don't stack him, just play him single if you're going to, and it's probably honestly something I'm not going to get to. But that's my only shout for Mercer.
All right.
Now, Ole Miss, Spencer Sanders transfers in from Oklahoma State. Seems like Jackson Dart has got the job to start with at least. I'm not going to be surprised if Sanders gets a little bit of work here. I just don't see how he sits there after starting like 4 years and comes over and sits on the bench a whole year. I don't know what the point of that would be. So I think that we see a little bit of a split here. But the backfield for Ole Miss is
you got the guy
jumping on this one.
There. Yeah,
Bentley being questionable in this game gives me a little more interest even. And Quinshon Judkins, 6,600. Again, I don't know where they're getting these prices. He'll be 8,600 in 2 weeks. But going up against Mercer here, he's going to smash. It's just a matter of how many touchdowns does he get before they are up too much, probably. But I think I'm going to probably have him ranked as the top running back on the slate for me.
That's definitely a number one play right there. If he's not 70%, anything less, it's leverage.
Yeah. Yep. And we've with this pricing early in the year has been so soft with DraftKings, and it's kind of been hard to sometimes hard to use the salary, like on tonight's slate. And then you've got trying to, figure out some of these high-priced guys are just not the main guys on their team. So it's the other problem you run into. Now, in the receiving game, Zachary Franklin transferred in from, I think it was UTSA. With Trey Harris there as well. Franklin is out, 8,200 for him, and he's out tomorrow, which should leave Trey Harris, Jordan Watkins.
You're getting a steal at the other ones,
main guys.
Yeah, I mean, even that Dayton Wade down there popping a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good price. The only downside of this team is like some of these other ones, they spread it around. Caden Preekshorn, I think, and I've not updated this, but I think I've seen an alert that he's out for about 4 weeks or something too. So let me double check on that.
Mercer.
He transferred over from Memphis. Let's see if that's who that
I just can't play any Mercer guy. Like, get out of here.
You're not going to play the quarterback? You're not going to play the quarterback here?
I mean, that's
honestly, like I said, I'm probably not going to either.
That's a free slot, but that's not the life I'm trying to live there.
I hear you.
Portland State and Oregon.
Yeah, he's out 3 weeks. So Caden Preekshorn, who could be a good option late in the year for this team, he's out for the first 3 games.
Stick him in your pocket.
An even more depleted receiving game.
Next.
Oregon, Portland State. Again, no line. Oregon's going to absolutely murder this team. Portland State, not a good FCS school. So just complete cross off. Oregon, Bo Nix is just 10-1 is kind of hard for me to get to. He smashed early in the year last year some. I don't think I can get there, honestly. Maybe if you're playing 20, I would get a little bit of exposure. I just think they blow this team out so much that I can't get there. And when I'm trying to stack him up, picking out one of their 15 receivers is also an impossible task. And it's pretty much just a pick and pray. So, I'm honestly probably not getting to that receiving game, but the running backs, Bucky Irving and Noah Whittington, I think both make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely get to either one of those running backs, like you said. Jordan James down there too for value. I hope you get it right.
Yeah, he could get some of that run. He could get some of that blowout run. Yeah,
plug and play, and hopefully you get it right there. But yeah, the receiving core, the Trayshawn Holden, definitely in there.
Mm-hmm.
Franklin, I mean, if you want to take a shot on stacking that, and hopefully Portland State keeps it, within 30 points, we'll say. I don't know what the spread is, but it's not out. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Hopefully they keep trying to have to pass it, but running backs priority here, receiving, they're going to get, if one of them gets, 4 or 5 catches, 100 and some yards, and a touchdown and a tutty, you got it right. Good for you. You're a magician.
Pretty much. But I like that call on Holden as being my favorite out of that group if I was playing one. I'd rather take the 2,600 or 1,700 from Tez and Troy Franklin and just hope I get it right and save a little bit of salary. So, but yes, agree completely. Running backs are the priority here. Bo Nix, if you want to hope this game stays a little closer. Rice and Texas. Texas is a 5-touchdown favorite here, 59 total.
What in the world?
Theme of the week. Texas or Rice, I'm not going towards at all. There's nothing there. There is some interest for me on the Texas side. Quinn Ewers is not one of my favorite quarterbacks to play, but I think in a matchup like this, I think you have to have a little bit of interest with all the weapons that he has around him. So if you're playing him, he's not going to get there on the ground based on what we saw last year. And I think you have to pair him up with one or two of these guys. And for some reason, the stats from last year are not feeding in, so I need to get that fixed. But Jatavian Sanders, the tight end, is priced again just like Lacey from Iowa, 3,700. He was the guy that never got a price increase last year and was always solid for double digits a lot of the year. So I think he would be my favorite at that price tag. Xavier Worthy has massive upside, 6,600. Donnie Mitchell transfers in from Georgia at 55, and then Jordan
Wow.
Whittington is still there at 47. So talk to me about all these weapons.
I definitely would multi-stack this game. I mean, those top 3 guys, that's going to be nasty. That's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm going to probably go here with my main stack, other than Ohio State, of course. But yeah, just massive upside here and a little pushover with Rice, who's like a decent high school team. So definitely going to get to Texas here.
Yeah, so to go along with this passing game, maybe my favorite GPP play of the slate is in the backfield. Everybody is going to Jonathan Brooks. He, 5,300. He's cheaper than CJ Baxter. They project for similar workloads, but I am seeing Brooks as being just massively owned. And CJ Baxter, the 5-star coming in this year, true freshman, they're going to want to get some looks at him, and they're 5-touchdown favorites. And I've seen a report that he was working with the ones earlier this week. Anyway, so CJ Baxter at a third or a fourth or a fifth the ownership of Jonathan Brooks got to be one of my favorite GPP options on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, like we said before, plug and play either one of them. You like the Baxter call there. Just let's eat off both of them, and hopefully we get it right.
Yep, I agree there. That's all for me on that one. Texas or bust. Moving on, Boise State, Washington, 14-point favorite for Washington, 58.5 total. Got a
Wow.
lot of similar faces for Washington back
Wow.
this year. You've got Michael Penix at quarterback, a lot of the same receivers. Talk to me about this passing game.
I mean, if they're back, I'm waiting on you to update that one. You can't not play Penix there against Boise State, who is a turtle in the defense there. And if they're returning their receivers, that's probably going to be a little deadly combo there. It might get overlooked with all these bigger schools and teams on the slate here. Yeah, I mean, almost 60% pass percent. Number one, I disagree with Boise State being number 5 in the defensive ranking in pass, but um, we'll see. I'll get burned by Boise State being a number 5 pass defense ranked there this year. Then, Michael Penix, he's gonna light it up. He's gonna make some noise. He's a good little tosser of the pigskin there. So
Yeah. Those are Boise State stats from last year. They don't
yeah,
play a passing offense like Washington every week. Um, they
nah,
actually play some horrid offenses in the
yep.
Mountain West. I'm not worried about that either at all. You've got Odunze, I
Odunze,
guess. I'm not
yep.
sure how you say that one. But Jalen McMillan and Jalen Polk all back. I think
Man,
if
those
you're playing
definitely are
Penix, you're
familiar
playing
names.
at least probably two of these guys. I would say if you can.
Yep.
Now the pricing at 73 and 69 might be hard, but definitely take one. If you are doing a double stack, I don't hate the idea of running it back on the other side with Taylon Green, who is a pure runner for Boise State at quarterback. I don't think you need to pair him up with anybody. So
Yep.
I actually have that rule right now in the optimizer that with Penix, I want at least one of these receivers. But if I have both, or if I have two with him, that I play Taylon Green. So that's just a little rule that I've added in, that if I'm doing double stacks, I'm stacking the game up.
Nice little roll there, Dane.
Yeah, trying to do more with that this year. We've talked about it some in chat, but if you're not doing rules with an optimizer, you're just not, especially in college football, you're just not doing it right. um,
I I
Half these
used
teams, you
to
don't want to play more than a receiver. You got to have some of those rules in there, and I can even touch on some of the ones that I've got outside of that one.
I've got away from using the optimizers and stuff because so many people are using it. I think I get more different being a hand builder nowadays and just
Mm-hmm.
applying that because people are just plugging and playing, hitting the
Yeah.
button, letting it do them for them. They just don't have any thought with it. Like, all right, I can optimize this and get my most value bang for the buck here. And I'm like, all right, nope, go back to old school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't hate that. I always hand build the single entry teams. And then if I'm doing 20, uh, a lot of times at that point, I'll hit the optimizer and go from there.
All
That's
right,
all
I
I've
gotta
got
grab
on
a
this one.
beer. Gotta grab a beer for this next game, the best game.
Oh, great timing! Great timing. So I'll introduce this one while he's restocking. But Ohio State, Indiana, of course, his favorite team, Ohio State, 30.5 point favorite, 44-14 projected implied totals for this one, with the 58.5 total. Ohio State's going to steamroll this team. Indiana is probably going to be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten this year. Um, Ohio State, has some turnover. talk to me about your Buckeyes.
I mean, Buka Boy, Xavier, all those guys, Marvin. Where to begin? Let you get the sheet up here. We got McCord named starter. I mean,
Yeah, do you think he gets all the work?
no. I was
Yeah, I don't
personally
either.
hoping Devin, but I mean, hey, if he beat him out, then if that's our best choice, then go ahead. But um, I don't even know where to begin with this backfield. Our receivers, like, you just got to hope you get it right, because any one of those four, I would definitely put Travion. Don't like Mayan. Um, love Hayden more than any of those middle two there. Hayden should be above any of them, in my opinion.
I tried
Um,
making that guy work so many times last year. Made me
it was
sick.
definitely tough to get him right there. I just don't think Mayan has it. Travion's gonna steamroll. Um, wide receivers. Oh, definitely play Cade Stover is going to be one of the top tight ends in the nation. Um, Fleming X Harrison. Wow. Hope you get that right combo there. Um, I think I
Yeah,
sent
I don't
you.
hate the Stover call for cheap at 41. I think he's definitely
He's
dependent on a touchdown, but
he's going to get it. He's a
they're going
steal,
to
man.
have 18 touchdowns. So
He's a steal. Definitely a good value play for me. I'm going to pair him up. I'm going to try not to stack three receivers here, but it's tough. Even X there, he's definitely a good value play. Him and Stover are plug and play for value. Um, Buka Boy and Harrison. Whew,
yeah, so
get your get your
I
popcorn
think
ready.
McCord being named the starter and this projected to be a blowout, I don't think I can play him at 9,900.
Nah,
If I was
no.
paying up that high, I would get to Bo Nix before I got to McCord here. Um, you mentioned the backfield is hard. I think Travian is really the only
Yep.
one that I'm going to have exposure to. He could
Okay.
run for 202 or something any day. And the receiving game, Harrison and Egbuka, of course, great plays. My problem is, do I want to play them together? And I don't think I do. So that's another rule that I actually have in there right now because of the pricing. Is
No.
Harrison and Egbuka max one? Um, I just if I was playing the quarterback and I felt comfortable doing that,
Sure.
I wouldn't group that out. I think a lot of people are going to take that 1,700 and go to Egbuka. So, if I'm building a single entry team, I might make that pivot and let that be my differentiator going up to Harrison.
Yeah.
If I have
I mean,
the salary.
why wouldn't you get to one of the top receivers in the nation and get different? But I think Buka goes under deserving of who he is and how capable he is of. He could break that slate easily.
Mhm.
Harrison, he gets the name recognition, but I think Buka will come through for us here.
Yeah, so I'm seeing Harrison being half the ownership of Egbuka. And I
Wow.
think a lot of that has to do with the projections coming out to being similar and there being a $1,700 price difference. So yeah, just easy game theory there that in GPPs getting some exposure to Harrison instead makes some sense.
But
That's all I've
also,
got on Ohio State.
Also, you got to think, how long are they going to play? Like we talked about on the other previous games. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games with north of 4 touchdown favorites. Like, you're not going to play your starters all the way into the 4th. So,
yeah, for sure. So now we got Randy's squad, Wisconsin and Buffalo, 4 touchdown favorites for Wisconsin, 53.5
this
total.
keeps getting better.
I hardly ever play anybody against Wisconsin, and I'm not going to start here with Buffalo. They do have some new faces for Wisconsin. In the in the quarterbacks, Tanner Mordecai comes over from SMU. So
he is hell bent on Mordecai as a savior.
Randy's got the Mordecai savior. Do we think that Mordecai saves Wisconsin?
No.
Yeah, Mordecai is probably, in my opinion, better than Mertz, what they had.
Absolutely.
But I think Mordecai was just a product, really, maybe of the system. Maybe he proves me wrong, but I think it was just that SMU system is what we're used to seeing with the numbers and things. So,
100%. I was going to say the same thing. Your system is a product of you, and definitely Mordecai was a product of the system. SMU, hats off to their coaching staff and what they produce. Mordecai did what he needed to do, got his name out there, and went to a better school. So,
yeah. Now, Braylon Allen, 6,700, another one of the top running backs on the slate. In my opinion, all these guys are in the 6Ks. Like, that's just absurd. Every one of the guys that I have highlighted as a primary core play at the running back position in that 6K range is going to be in the 8s in a week or two. So Braylon Allen, I think, gets massive workload here. Maybe a little bit of Chez mixed in. He's okay at 4,900. Not going to play them together because I think it really depends on who gets the touchdowns.
Can't believe he's that cheap.
Yeah. Either one of them, really.
Braylon's definitely a plug and play.
Yeah. I think Braylon and Judkins would be my first 2 in. And if we just kind of zoom out and look at all the running backs, what I'm talking about in this 6K range, you've got Braylon Allen, Blake Corum, Braylon Allen, Judkins, Edwards, Bucky Irving. All those guys are just really good plays. As of now, I rank them, like I said, Judkins, Allen, Edwards would be my top 3 there. And then Bucky and Corum are kind of, close, neck and neck there. But, Chimere DK for Wisconsin is really the only part of the passing game that I have any interest in, and I'm not sure that I'm going to get there. But we saw some good things out of him towards the end of the year last year, even with the offense that they were in. So I think he could take a step forward this year as well with Mordecai. But not something. Just
not getting there with receivers with who they're up against. If they're dogs or in a fight, maybe I would go there. He's definitely one to put in the arsenal, but he might catch a bomb and go 3 or 4 catches for 120 some yards and a tutty, but he's not going to get the volume with who they're going up against.
Yeah. Yeah, so last game, you got Notre Dame, Tennessee State.
Tito.
Notre Dame, we saw them last week played very well. And Sam Hartman coming over from Wake Forest. I expected that to be a big step forward for Notre Dame, and it was. It looked like last week.
Yep.
So what are you doing with Notre Dame here? I think they spread it around too much for me in a game that they're going to blow out Tennessee State. So I really have next to no interest, to be honest.
I mean, Sam Hartman, he's the real deal. I would definitely consider playing him almost naked. Pair him up, whether you get it right or wrong. That's the risk you're going to take.
Yeah,
that's kind of it for me. Estamine, he's definitely a little too high for me, but I would take a risk of price or pain. With a blowout, you're going to get a little bit of upside with either, and a blowout would definitely pay off at that price tag, 4,000, 5,900 with painter price. So
yeah. So you could get there. Hartman again is kind of like the McCord deal, except a little, of course, safer with playing time. But 9,700, I think I would still rather get up to Bo Nix if I could. Jaden Thomas will be my only shout for Notre Dame. 6,600 looks to be their main guy. He's going to need to get a couple touchdowns though. So again, not somebody I'm going to jump towards. That's all the games. I do want, when I have someone on here with me this year, I want to try to do something like this and go just real quick position by position and say who's our favorite contrarian play on the slate at each position. So start me out at quarterback.
Contrarian play.
Yeah, contrarian quarterback play. Yeah.
That you don't have highlighted.
Well, I could have highlighted.
Contrarian play that you don't have highlighted. Or highlighted. Let's go. Man, I really like Penix. I really like Michael Penix on this one.
Yeah, I like that call. I'm not sure what he's projecting at. You had mentioned about potentially him being a little lower owned earlier as well. Let me see what he's popping up at.
I just think
I don't think it's going to be that high, to be honest.
No, it shouldn't be. I mean,
I'm seeing upper 20s, but
Boise State, man, they're sneaky. They could keep it close and get them more involved and later in the game that they need to be. So the first 11 first however many guys there QBs, they might get pulled, and that game might be sneaky close. The spread's only 14. When all the spreads above them are 4 touchdowns and above, that one just stands out to me. Like Boise State might keep it closer. So,
yeah. For me, I'm going to go with Quinn Ewers. I think he comes in behind a lot of these. I think Morris, Milton, Nix, I think those guys are going to be the top owned. And I think Ewers is going to be on the second tier. I think Texas puts up tons of points. He's got a lot of weapons. So I think Ewers would be my favorite pivot play. let me give one more as well at quarterback.
Well, it's your show, Dane. We're just living in it.
Well, it's probably not one. Well, now I'm going to have to get off here and make a team with it. But Carter Peavy, Mercer quarterback. We're going to go. We're going to go back off the wall GPP pivot play, and it's getting late. It's getting late, isn't it? We need to move on.
I thought I was the one boozing. I think you're boozing there secretly.
All right, move. Get me off of this. Get me off of this Mercer quarterback. Get me
what was the guy that you plug and play? Was it Smoke Harris or someone the other year? What was his name?
A quarterback?
It was someone that just you played almost every week.
There tends to be some of those sometimes. I can't get off of some of these people. It's kind of like who was it used to be Neiman in golf. He used to be
Joaquin.
So good thing I don't have to deal with him anymore.
True.
Still get him in majors. Moving on to running back. Give me an off the wall play there.
Off the wall play. We're gonna go. Off the wall play. We're gonna go down to. I think 4,200. Cameron Davis, not the golfer, not the Australian, but Cam Davis down there sitting at 13 touchdowns last year. I think he might be a little value play for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the CJ Baxter as that pivot with Texas. Again, sticking with the Texas train. I think again that's going to be one that I might even make that pivot in like a single entry lineup just to get really different in that one. And I don't think I'm giving up a whole lot of projection and things to do it. So
him and Brooks, him and Brinks Koepka.
Oh yeah, Koepka's the other one. Yeah. That I can't get off of. So
Jesus.
Hopefully I don't develop any of those with college football this year.
Oh, you will.
I'll do my best.
You will.
All right, round us out at receiver with the low-owned option.
I mean, I'm gonna go to my Buckeyes. I saw Xavier Johnson and Cade Stover down there just mispriced out the ass. So that's my team. I got two there. Two Buckeyes. So
yeah, give me Dante Thornton, Tennessee. I like that pivot option.
Where's he at?
Going to that passing game for Tennessee. Dante Thornton.
Where's this price?
42, 43.
Okay, yeah, 43.
43, yeah. Yeah, so those are my three. Quinn Ewers, CJ Baxter, Dante Thornton. Just three of the top pivot plays at each position for me. I will have rankings, and let me do this before we hop off. The stack tool is something that I showed on the show last week. It's something we put together here.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. I got some inspiration from Dove with the NHL sheet, MLB. We did some stacking.
And just to set the record, set the record straight, it's DOB, like on your birth card identification. It's DOB, not Dobe,
Hey, I'm trying to be quick here.
I got you. I got you. But yeah, man, this new stack tool, I think it's definitely something to look into, force to be reckoned with. It's easily identifiable of, all right, QB, wide receivers, tight ends, all the above. You got your, rankings of pass defense and opponent rush. Like you're not gonna find this shit anywhere else. So
Yeah, and just to kind of give you an idea of if somebody is new to looking at it, just kind of what all it has involved. It's got the team info on the left. It pulls this best stack. So I've ran all the combinations of the top four point per dollar receivers for each team. And all those combinations are right here. What their pricing is, what their projection together is, and what the value, point per dollar value of that is. And this pulls over what the best combination point per dollar is. And for Tennessee, it's showing up as Brew McCoy and Ramel Keaton.
wow.
And for Washington is the second point per dollar one. There's
There
a
you
decent
go.
little gap there between
That's
McCoy and Keaton and Rome and McMillan. But you can kind of see there with Washington paying up for their top two receivers is still the
damn.
best point per dollar projection
Penix,
together there.
that ties into
Yeah.
my yeah. You're
Yeah, and then
welcome.
Texas is number 3 there as far as stacks. It's got Sanders and Whittington there. I really like Sanders, and Whittington comes in cheaper than the other two, so I think that would get you
You
a
see
little.
that bold, you see that big bold green a couple on number 10. Do you see
I
it?
do, I do. That's
Man.
a very interesting. That's probably going to be an outlier team all year with stacking with Harrison and Egbuka being the highest price combination you could put together, but still being
Jeez.
the best one of the better point per dollar um, ratings of stacks. So if we can get
Man.
some consistent quarterback play from one quarterback for Ohio State, we can definitely stack that team up.
Just stack them two and then put in the Penix and Adunze.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, so after all these combinations, you can go out and see what is the wide receiver one that I'm referring to, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. In college, a lot of times I don't love to double stack. So that's an easy way to kind of go out here and just see for each team specifically um, who's their best point per dollar receiver. And projection wise, Keaton is that for Tennessee, right behind Brew McCoy. For Ohio State, just for example, Egbuka at 3.1, Harrison 2.6 per their projection. Um, so that's kind of how you would read it. Play around with it if you're new to it, and just kind of if you have some feedback, let me know for sure. So that's all I've got. Anything else you want to cap it off with?
Let's have a good day, and appreciate you. Let me join on here with you. And
yeah, I definitely want to do this more often. It's nice to have somebody to go back and forth with instead of everybody sitting here just listening to looking at my mug and listening to my voice the whole time.
Yeah, man. Anytime I'll sit here and drink a couple beers and talk the shit. So
I like it. Well, good luck tomorrow. Good luck, everybody. I'll have rankings up on the sheet probably late tonight or in the morning, and I'll have a core posted as well in the chat tomorrow morning. So if you want to,
we got some EPL.
Yeah, we do. We got some EPL in the morning, 10 o'clock lock for that. So it gets busy on Saturday mornings.
Yep.
I try to get the EPL done as quick as I can when lineups come out at 9:00, and so I can transfer right over to college football for the last few hours. Don't always
Yep.
work out that way, but
All right.
we'll
Well,
see. Yeah, good luck.
We'll be around, and have a good night. Cheers, taters, noggins. Goodbye.
See you later.